Hi. All right, so this is our video for filling in our skills notes. And our skill, this quest, of course, is solving word problems. So in class, during our focus lesson, we did our first 3-act task, and it was about Sue and her jump rope, right? And I said, this is like a word problem, but without words. So to do our notes, it's the same exact problem, except this time I wrote it in the terms of a word problem, something you might see on a test. Oh, that's not what you want. Back it up. Back it up. All right. So let's look at what we got here. The word problem says Sue is attempting to break the Guinness Book of World Records 30-second jump roping record. If she jumps 27 times in 5 seconds, how many times will she theoretically jump in 30 seconds? Given your answer, do you think you can make a reasonable prediction as how many times Sue can jump in 60 seconds? Why or why not? Again, when we discussed this, we said the hardest part is the words, right? So what we need to do first, the hardest thing about word problems is figuring out what they're asking and what you should do. And so all of this process is going to help us do that. Okay. And you might look at this page and think, really, Mrs. Camp, you want us to do all of this work? But no, guys, no. This work is done in your head. Now, in our notebook, we're going to write it down, right? So, in our heads, okay? So, let's write that right here. This is what you should be asking yourself, thinking about, asking a neighbor if you're stuck as to how to solve these word problems. And the first thing we're going to ask ourselves is, what is the gist? Now, you've heard gist a million times in ELA, but guess what? It comes out in math as well. So what's the main idea? What summary can you give real quick as to what's happening? Okay. So what is the gist? What's going on in this story? I would say that Sue is jumping for 30 seconds, right? Jumping for 30 seconds, right? That's just the main concept. What's going on? We need to find out how many jumps in 30 seconds, right? So what do you need to figure out? We need to know how many in 30, right? How many jumps in 30? Then, before I can come up with a plan, I'm going to say, like, well, what type of problem is this? Does this look like problems that I've seen in the past? And if it does, that gives us an idea of how we should go about solving it. So, are we missing the whole number? Kind of. I mean, we're missing how much is in 30. Is this an area problem, like a length times width? No. What about a rate and ratio problem? Yeah, right? It's jumps per second. So you're going to color in this box because it's a rate and ratio problem. Don't color it so you can't see the rate and ratio though. We're not making equal parts, it's not volume, and we're not missing a part. Okay. If you know it's a rate ratio problem, you know, okay, I can set up a proportion for this. If you can figure out what type of problem it is and what you need to solve, it helps you develop a plan. So my plan is to set up a proportion. And a proportion is a strategy that you should know in steps to get to your final goal. So now I'm going to come up with my estimation. This is the last thing I want to do in my head before I start solving, so that when I solve, I'm like, yeah, it's reasonable, makes sense, or oh my gosh, I'm way off. So if she's jumping 27 in 5 seconds, I don't know what that is. So let's say she jumps 30 per 5 seconds. Okay. And I know she needs to do that how many more times to get to 30 seconds? She does it that many in 5 seconds to get to 30 seconds. I got to multiply by 6, right? So 30 times 6, I'm just going to say 30 times 6 equals 180. So I think she's going to be around 180 jumps per 30 seconds. Okay. Now, is my estimation too high or too low? It's too high because I rounded up 27. I left 5 where it is because 5 is an easy number to work with, right? So when we talked about our estimation strategies in the last quest and you wanted to pick nice numbers, 5 is a nice number to work with. So I kept it. Now we solve. So this is all things that I've gone over in my head. What's going on in the story? What do I need to do? What kind of problem is this? What is my plan? What do I think the answer is going to be? I did this in my head. And now I'm going to solve it. If I talk too fast and you don't have this copied down, press pause on the video. Make sure you have this all copied down in your notes so you get credit for the work. Now let's get to solving. Okay. So I said I was going to set up a proportion. So I'm going to do jumps per second. I always want the time on the bottom, jumps per second. And we know she jumped 27 in 5 seconds. But what do they want us to solve? We already thought about this in our heads. They want us to say how many in 30. So now I just don't know how many jumps she did. I'm going to use J for my variable, how many she did, given what I know. Well, I know that 5 times 30, 5 times 6 is 30. So 27 times 6. So down here, I'm going to do 27 times 6. You guys might remember it from when you did it as a group. And you end up with 162. Now we're going to put the answer here. 162 jumps in 30 seconds. Is my answer reasonable? And this is where the estimation comes in. Yeah, it's only 12 more. Okay? Right? It's only, oh no, it's not. It's only 18 more, which makes sense because I rounded up 3 seconds per 6, right? So yeah. Yep. Because 18 more than my estimate. Okay? And that makes sense because I went up 3 seconds. 3 seconds times 6 times would be 18. It should be 18 more. Okay, so this process, when you get to practice, you're going to fill in your recording sheets and there's going to be a lot of this. This is the process is what we're focusing on. Not necessarily getting the answer, but how to even start. That seems to be the issue with word problems. Great job. Glue this right in your notebook and fill out your table of contents.